Okay, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. So look, we got Joe Joyce versus Derek Chisora this weekend. I think it's Wembley Stadium. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wembley Stadium, I think. Anyway, main event. Derek Chisora. He's seen better days, right? Last few fights, he hasn't looked great. The gas tank seems to be going, somewhat not there. We thought that Derek Chisora would probably be retired by now. If we looked at the grand scheme of things and the way his career's gone, we thought right now Derek Chisora should be retired. But he says he wants to continue, and he wants to continue, wants to fight on. And you know what? Fair go to him. Why not? I'm gonna run back a couple of years. Let's just say Deontay Wilder, when Derek Chisora was being tipped to fight Deontay Wilder a couple of years ago, and everyone's like, "Oh no, it's a bad fight. It's a bad fight. Oh, Derek's gonna get, Derek's he's shot. He's past it." We've looked at Deontay Wilder in the last couple of fights, and we've seen that he hasn't looked too good at all. So you see, sometimes you never know. You got to make the fights to see what happens. And now we're seeing with Turkey, Al Sheikh putting these fights on. We're now seeing the fights happen, and we're now seeing, like, in the case of Ajit Kabayel, he's gone out and he's dissected like two decent heavyweights, and he's made a name for himself. And Joseph Parker's gone out there and beaten Wilder, beaten Zhang, and we're now starting to see the heavyweight division forming, where these guys are starting to fight each other. So, if Derek Chisora had got his chance against Deontay Wilder a couple of years ago, who knows what we would have seen? Who knows what we would have seen? We know that Deontay Wilder is not the same fighter he once was. And one thing we do know, Derek Chisora is always up for a scrap. And if he smells blood, he's going to go for his opponent. We only have to listen to Alexander Usyk when he said a couple of days ago that he got hit the hardest. Out of all the heavyweights that he fought, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, right? He says that Derek Chisora hit him the hardest. Right, and I do believe him. Derek does put more or less 100% in most of his punches. That's the reason why he gasses out quite early. And I still think the old dog's got something in him, especially in this fight. So you got to match him up correctly. You can't put him in against someone like Kabayel, who he's lost to already, and Kabayel's on a tear right now. Someone like Kabayel, I wouldn't say no. Before Frank Sanchez lost to Kabayel, I would have said Sanchez. He's a guy you wouldn't want to put Derek in there with, because Derek's aging right now, and some of these guys are young guys, young hungry guys, so it wouldn't be good for the old warhorse Derek Chisora. But Joe Joyce, on the other hand, now Joe Joyce again, he's not no spring chicken. I'm not sure how old Joyce is. I don't think there's much between the two of them. There can't be more than maybe 2 years between the two of them, Derek and Joe Joyce. Joyce obviously had an extensive amateur career. Derek being pro earlier, obviously turned pro earlier in his career. Joyce is very slow, right? He's very slow. Obviously he's slow. That's his style. That's the way he's always has been. He's a slow fighter. Hence the reason why he gets the nickname Slow Joyce. Joe in his last 3 fights hasn't looked great at all. He's just not looked great at all. The 2 fights against Zhang, no good. The Cash Ali fight, I felt like Cash Ali, if he had thrown a bit more, Cash Ali's got a good overhand right, and he was using it, and he was catching Joyce. He was catching Joyce with it quite regularly in the fight, but he wasn't throwing enough of it. His corner was screaming to him. So I watched the fight live. Cash Ali's corner was screaming at him to let his hands go. Let that right hand go. Let the overhand right go, because you're catching him every time. I don't know what Cash's problem was, whether maybe he was gassed out, tired or whatever, or maybe he was scared of something coming back at him, but he wasn't throwing it as much as he could or he should, because overhand was catching him. But eventually Joe Joyce won the fight. It was such a dull fight. I don't even know. I think towards the end I actually zoned out Can't even remember if he won on points or as a stoppage. I think it might have been a stoppage. I can't remember correctly, but Joe Joyce didn't look great in that fight. And if I'm watching that fight, the performance of Joe Joyce, the last 3 performances and his last fight, you know what they say, you're only as good as your last fight. If I have to assess the fight between the two guys, I'm going to say Derek Chisora takes this fight. How he takes it, I wouldn't even be surprised if Derek gets a stoppage. I won't be surprised if Derek stops Joe Joyce. The only way that Joyce is going to beat Derek is not Derek. For me, Joyce ain't going to stop Derek early. Joyce is going to have to wear him down like he's, the old Juggernaut. If we get the old Joe Joyce, the Joe Joyce that stopped Daniel Dubois, he's going to have to wear on Derek, take it to the later rounds, and then eventually, when Derek starts to fade, then he needs to put the pressure on. If he's going to win the fight. But is that Joe Joyce still, is he still here? Does he still exist? We haven't seen that Joe Joyce for about four fights. Easily about 4 fights. 3-4 fights. I just feel like Derek Chisora throws a good overhand right. And Cash Ali was catching Derek with his overhand right at will. And Derek, as Usyk said, hits extremely hard. If he can catch you good flush with early in the first 2 to 3 rounds, well, 1 to 3, there's a good chance that he might actually hurt Joyce. And Joyce is not the impenetrable anymore, the Juggernaut. We saw what Zhang did to him. We saw what Zhilei Zhang did to Joe Joyce. He spun his jaw. Right, parked his jaw off for him. Parallel parked his jaw for him on the ground. So Derek Chisora's overhand right, I believe, will catch Joyce. And I believe that if Derek has a similar case, if it's a similar case to when Joyce fought Cash Ali, yeah? If Derek gets the same opportunities to land on Joe Joyce's chin with an overhand right, believe me, I believe you. Believe me, I'm saying Derek Chisora will let that right hand go at will. And will Joe Joyce be able to take it? And does Derek hit as hard as Usyk says? I think we're going to find out Saturday night. Anyway, do us a favour. Smash the like button. Hit the bell for notifications so you get all the new and latest videos.